Picture number 5 has me and a couple of other members of our 11-man unit working on a different bunker. The original bunker, the long, straight one, flooded during the monsoon season. And so we needed something that was deeper, stronger, and in a different location. And so I and Sifford and Gary, I don't remember his last name, were here working on it. And different guys from different units, when their schedules allowed, also participated. There's myself and Captain actually holding a shovel with us enlisted men. I can tell because of his build who it was. And he was a really nice guy. He was an entomologist from, I think, Florida.
Who's this guy in 5A?
I don't remember his last name, but this is Earl. And Earl was the second in command of our unit. He was a lifer. He wasn't very sociable, but he was a pretty darn good human being. So he's driving somewhere with probably Wilson at the wheel. Sergeant Wilson loved to drive. Very rarely did he designate Earl or myself as drivers. He just loved it. And he packed his 45 with him because that made him feel like a soldier.
When you say a lifer,
what
do
he was going to make. So a lifer is a person who's decided to make the Army his career for at least 20 years and longer if he chose. He would get a pension, he'd get medical care, and he would be working in a job, hopefully, that he chose that he liked. Mm-hmm. So a lifer could be a nurse or a nurse's assistant. A lifer could be an engineer or an infantryman. So that's what a lifer is, a person who makes the Army a career.
Okay.
One of the things we were able to scrounge, as I mentioned earlier, was a parachute.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of where we had one of our beer drinking areas. And in these two, I forgot what they were called, they're solid steel, were our supplies. Just about every building structure in Cu Chi had sandbags around it. Number 6 is where about 16 of us slept. Our beds were made, the floors were swept by Vietnamese citizens who lived outside the village. They would come in after being screened and they would do our laundry as well as housekeeping. The reason these beds are unmade and we have our stuff scattered all over is it was our maid's day off. And all Vietnamese maids are called Mama San, unless we really knew them personally. So Mama San did not come to work this particular day and we never had inspections, and it cost us $10 a month. Each guy paid $10 a month. One thing we didn't realize until later was that some of these very housemaids and their brothers or husbands who were in charge of other duties actually were in the pay of the Vietnamese communists. And they would come around and perhaps learn some important information and then pass it along to their side of the war.
Did any soldier ever get romantically involved with any of the maids that you know?
I don't know of the soldiers being romantically involved with the maid, but I do know that one of my 2 best friends over there fell in love with a Vietnamese citizen. Her name was Tra, and towards the end of my first year, Tom proposed to Tra and asked me if I would be his best man. So I agreed, and we had a traditional Vietnamese wedding and a celebration, and I have some pictures of that with memories attached I'll come to in a few minutes. Really, there was no way for something like that to happen very often because Tom had to go through a lot of frustrating red tape to get married to a Vietnamese citizen, because actually background checks had to be made, and then the future, how was she going to get to America if she came to America? So they were very patient, got very frustrated, but they did get married, and as far as I know, after the war they were able to move to Boston, Massachusetts, where they raised their family.